Mike,
What's going on?
how are you, man?
Good, and you appreciate the time, dude.
I appreciate your time. This is very cool.
Well, dude, I'm excited to get into this. I've been trying to say it with a straight face, but faith no Gwar. Every time I say it, I start laughing. But tell me about this psychotic, satirical, musical invention that you've created for us.
Well, congratulations for getting through it with a straight face. And I'm sorry all at the same time. Um, this is the easiest way to describe it is it's performance art, really. It's a satire on a fictional group of humans, in this case being disgruntled out of work clown car mechanics because everybody feels marginalized these days. Everyone's got a complaint. So this is these are our frustrations and our day-to-day struggles, um displayed through songs from Faith No More and Gwar, which you may or may not know. Like, if you're just a surfacey fan, you may have not spent time, with some deep cuts. So it's a bit random, but together the music ties the story of our struggles in modern society as out of work, disgruntled clown car mechanics. This is the easiest pitch I've done so far. So thank you for giving me this platform.
Well, dude, it's a super unique idea, and it sounds super interesting. And then you're using the band Lords of Sin as your backing band.
These guys are amazing. I went and watched them rehearse, and I was blown away by the energy that they had. They reminded me of like a early Sepultura,
Wow.
but on a really street blue collar working band level, I really connected with what they were doing. And I thought, man, I can't believe there's still bands kicking around in the underground in this city that are this good that we don't know about. And there's a lot of them,
Yeah.
you know, and and Lords of Sin are easily one of the best I've come across. But they also were willing to take a ride on something that was completely ridiculous like this. And so we've been rehearsing for 2 years, and we've said we're not writing original music, we're not touring, we're not doing when this is a one-time show, this is happening, and then we're gonna maybe do something else. Well, what's happened is we've poisoned our own well musically, and now we're starting to write songs.
Ah.
And those are really interesting. So just by going through the process of this as an art project, as an experiment, it's already kind of sprouting these weird flowers. And artistically, it's given everybody kind of a palette. So it's really cool. It's the happy accidents that are kind of coming out of trying to do something this stupid.
And you reprising your role as Giggles the clown.
Because why not? The world needs a hero. Um, yeah, really, it's the only vehicle by which I could, most likely offend 90% of the people in the room. It seemed like the safest, you know, like it's like the Pope mobile of costumes. It's like when you're in there,
You can do
you
anything.
can you can get away with a lot. So, um, but having tested it a little bit, I think it'll be a proven to be an effective um operation. I
Vehicle.
guess. I don't know.
I was just trying to think of obviously having some fun trying to think of all the different tunes you're going to be playing, in that set. And I'm also kind of curious too, man. Have you talked to either one of these bands about what you're going to do? I imagine you're friends with some of them.
No, well, no, not really. I've met people in passing. Honestly, we've went into this 100% truth. Like, we were gonna do this once. This was just gonna be this is an anti-band band. This is a band that is has no aspirations of success. So every time someone follows the Instagram page or buys a ticket to this show, we're already winning. Like you can't, the band has no feelings and you can't hurt us. So that being said, I, you know, I I would have loved to have a conversation with somebody, but I think the easiest way to do that is actually by showing them. So, maybe day after the show, if the kind people that show up have filmed something with their phone, we'll have proof that this happened, and we go, see, this is what we mean. This is not a tribute band. We're not trying to sound like these bands. Lyrically, growing up, I grabbed onto Gwar quickly. Same thing with Faith No More. Um, I was early with both of those bands, and I always thought that lyrically they were so much more challenging than they got credit for,
Mm,
because Gwar especially it was all about spectacle.
right.
But once you really dug down into like and I thought Dave Brockie had one of the coolest voices in rock. I always thought that. And well, once I really dug down into what he was saying and how he was saying it and his clever turns of phrases and his way of hiding innuendos and things, I was like, wow, there's this those records from all of both of those bands have proven to be onions over the years, that the more you listen to them, the more you kind of peel them away and go, man, I'm not sure I ever really heard that before.
Yeah.
And they're really well crafted songs and they're thoughtful arrangements. So I thought it would be an interesting idea to maybe just take what those songs are saying and repurpose the angle from which they're being presented. And maybe they would land differently in a live context. Someone would go, "Oh, I had no idea that's what that song's about." But clearly, through what I'm seeing right now, it's being directed at me. So that was also kind of an experiment I wanted to perform, was just like, let's take songs that maybe some nerds know and then maybe some, topical fans, and let's see if we can represent them without trying to sound like them, without trying to be a tribute band.
That was my next kind of question. Are you going to keep true to the song musically? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
like if you were going to do, I don't know, Faith No More Epic or something, you're going to have the piano and everything. It's going to be,
For the most part. Yeah, we want the songs to sound like the songs because these guys are playing this music after hours. Like this is what they do. They just sit around and drink beers and yell at each other and play this music. And so now, because they're in hard times, it's either they're starting an OnlyFans page, which no one wants, or they do something like this where they charge money and do a public performance of it. So that's basically where they're at. You know, this is kind of a have to circumstance. So, we're hoping that people, take some pity and be like, "Oh, I kind of like some Faith No More songs. I'll show up." It's Wednesday night. What else are people doing in the middle of June? The people that live here, at least.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone else is across the pond playing, but it's not only Faith No Gore's debut show, but Verona on Venus debut show,
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
super excited to see both bands in their debut performance. And I imagine you've known Mike forever. Do you remember when, where, how, why you first met Mike?
I know we've met in passing years ago, but we just reconnected recently over the Verona on Venus. And then he kind of hit me to what they had been up to. And I listened to it and I thought that, man, what a cool band. And I always compared it, not that it tried to sound like Ministry, but that it kind of carries a torch of a Ministry feel to me. Like it sits in the same place that some of the early Ministry stuff sits with me. And I thought, what a cool band of now to come out in this time with a sound like that. That sounds familiar to us, people of age, but also sounds very hip and very fresh. And the last video was killer.
Yeah, no one.
So like he's that whole thing's headed in a really cool direction. And so I'm super psyched that they chose this show. Um, you know, so hopefully there's still people left after they play.
I always kind of compared them to like Nine Inch Nails meets Gojira as the vibe I get listening to them.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I really hear that. It's just a cool thing. And I think it's got a future. I really do.
Me too.
Unlike what we're doing, I think what they're doing actually has a future. And I'm excited to see it. It'll be really cool.
I'm excited to see two guys that are normally we've known over the past decades being kind of side players holding an instrument now stepping in front and fronting a band and being the singer.
Yeah, it's something I did in the 90s and local bands and regional bands growing up in Texas. And I, for whatever reason, always wound up in that role. And I haven't really done it in a long time. And I thought if I'm gonna do it, it should be something interesting. I held out for that at least.
Dude, appreciate all the time. Was hoping we could talk a little bit about the quote unquote day job, the newest one, playing bass in Marilyn Manson and kind of how that all came together. How'd you get the gig, man?
Referral, it's a small community. Yeah, it just the timing worked out, you know. Things are meant to be. I guess that's the universe working. It's working the way it should. Um, it's been really cool to be along for the ride for this rebirth, and the band is killer, and we have a great time, and the shows have been rad, and um, yeah, I can't say or feel any better about it.
It was great. I saw you guys last year at the Honda Center opening for Five Finger Death Punch, and the band sounded amazing. He looked and sounded amazing, the best in several years.
Yeah,
And now a sober Marilyn Manson, which I imagine is great to work with.
yeah, yeah. Um he's amazing. He's amazing. His focus is sharp, and he is a he's an inspiration to people, he really is. And I'm proud to stand next to him because I think he's representing hard, you know. And as somebody that's been, in and out of sobriety over the years, it's amazing to see somebody turn their life around. It's always an amazing story. It doesn't matter who they are. It's
Sure.
always an amazing story. The miracle is never lost on me. Um, you put a microphone in front of it, you know, you can do some good, and it's cool.
Is there anything you could do to kind of humanize Marilyn Manson for us? Is there any story, anything you can think of, kind of off stage, something that he's into to kind of humanize him? I'm sure he's a practical joker. Anything like that? Anything that he's super into at the norm, or anything that you personally bonded with him over?
He's a mythical creature. He is a mythical creature. He is Marilyn Manson.
So we're gonna leave that intrigue and mystery.
Yeah, yeah. That's that's all I know.
Then wake him up out of the get him out of the coffin just in time for the show.
Yeah, no, he just appears. It's cool. It's cool.
Speaking of that band, I do love seeing Reba next to you on stage and love that she's getting that opportunity. I was a big fan of Code Orange and sad to see they're kind of on the shelf. So good that she's still out there rocking and performing and vocally contributing.
Totally. Yeah, it's great to have a female voice doing the female vocal parts. It's really cool. And she adds so much color and texture to the songs, and Yeah, she's awesome. She's a joy.
I know probably weren't on the track, but I've been loving the hell out of the Manson in the Air Tonight cover. And he's had a long, successful history of doing those 80s covers. And I think this one's going to be just as big for him.
Yeah, it's really cool. We got to play it on the tour that we just wrapped, and it sounded amazing live. It was really had a great energy to it. So I'm psyched. I'm psyched for it.
Is there anything in the Manson set that you're kind of nudging him, saying, "Hey, can we play this or that?" Or is it the set just pretty much write itself?
The set, I wouldn't say it writes itself. There's been, there's a new record and there's um, In the Air Tonight just came out.
Right.
Um, so there's an agenda, obviously, because we want to, there's a want to play this new material. Um, but there's also songs you probably should play, and then there's been some interesting curveballs on this last record. We on the last tour we did Long Hard Road Out of Hell, which was a
Ah.
nice addition. So it's uh it's cool. It's cool. There's a wealth of material to pull from
Mhm.
if you want to get weird and do weird stuff. He knows what he's doing, and personally, what do I love? I love the hard stuff.
Yeah.
I love the hard stuff. I think but that's just because it makes me think it's 1996 again too, which was a good time. Um, but nostalgic for different reasons. But I enjoy all of it, honestly. It's all very musical and fun stuff to play, and I'm honored to be able to play it.
I just hope he doesn't ignore the first album anymore. I mean, I love Portrait, the debut album.
We just did Get Your Gun on this last tour.
Oh, sick. Yeah,
I think
I don't think there was anything at the on the Death Punch tour from
uh,
the first album.
no, no. So that like it's been cool that that's two new ones that were in the last go around. And it's nice to be able to like change the setup and do that stuff for, us old timers.
We're there since day one.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
And looking forward to that House of Blues Anaheim show, which is already sold out, but the local Southern California show at the end of September going to be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Anaheim last year was such a blast. That was one of the most fun shows on the tour. You could really feel the energy in the room, and that that was a long one too. That was about 7 weeks. So we were really sharp to the energies of rooms at that point. And that one was a high point for sure for me.
That's what's going to be amazing about Anaheim House of Blues now is because it's going to be, from the mega arena to the intimate, well, I wouldn't say club, but theater size, still smaller than what you would typically play, and it's going to be packed and amazing.
Yeah, we just did some House of Blues on this recent tour, and they were awesome. Great vibe. Those are great rooms to play with anything, really.
Dude, I appreciate all the time. Last couple of things I'm going to hit you with. I gotta get some stories, some insight. I've been playing it every year since it came out, every single Halloween, keeping Halloween alive.
You're the one.
I'm the one.
You're the one.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love it. It's a great little, 2.5, 3 minute song. You know it's Alice right from the get go, and every October I'm playing it.
I knew I'd run into the guy someday. Here you are.
I'm the one.
Thanks for the 35 cents. Um, that man, what a kick that was. That was the most random that that was the weirdest story.
Tell me.
That's well, I realized on a Sunday night he had no Halloween song. I called him the next day and said, you have no Halloween song. He's like, you're right, I don't. Let's write one. So we wrote the song on a Tuesday. He flew in on a Thursday, changed some lyrics. We did his Alice Cooper, doing Alice Cooper thing. Brilliant lyricist, by the way, one of my favorites. The song was tracked on a Thursday and out the following Tuesday.
Wow.
I don't even know how they did it, but it was the coolest thing. And it instantly, it was like a people loved it. So um we did more recording after that,
Oh,
and because of that song, and that stuff got shelved
ah.
for another record. Um, but whenever we run into each other, we threaten to dust it off, and it's cool stuff too. It's different, and
Hmm,
it's really thoughtful.
hmm.
It's not as silly as that song, but it has the energy of that song. Um, so I'm hoping one of these days that stuff sees the light of day, because I've always been secretly very proud of it, even though no one's heard it outside of us.
No, you should be. I mean, to get to write with the godfather of it all, I mean, pinch yourself kind of moment.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough. I directed some videos for him. I've done album art for him. I've done tour merch for him. I've done wardrobe for him and the band a few times over the years.
Wow.
Um, Helped out with the show here and there on a tour. But and then we made some music together. I haven't mowed his lawn, or no, I did. I did mow his lawn once. Um,
Get the
he's
edger out and everything.
he's a big reason why I got into music. So it's been a really cool part of my journey, for lack of a better word, as a musician, as an artist, being able to apply some of my talents to his world over the years. That's been a real blessing, and opened a lot of doors for me. And um, it's just a really cool thing that if I could have told my 15-year-old self that that was going to happen.
Whew.
Yeah, it's very strange, very strange.
Yeah, I mean, he's the start of it all. I mean, look look at the bands that you've been in: Marilyn Manson, Zombie, Wednesday 13. It all traces back to Cooper.
None of it would have existed without him. And I certainly wouldn't have gotten into this business had I not discovered him, I don't think. Um, I think it would have been more of a hobby for me.
Hmm.
But he really, I mean, that just cracked my brain open. All possibilities. The second I saw him live, I thought, well, that's it. There it is. That's exactly what I want to do in some form. So it's been awesome to be able to contribute to him. And my life's been a series of those instances where the thing you're yelling about the most 20 years later comes back knocking on the door going, "Hey, still yelling about me? Here I am." You know. I'm sure you've had a lot of those too.
Oh yeah, it's all. I just think of it as putting your head down, do the work, and hopefully someday someone taps on your shoulder and sees
That's
it.
all that's all you can do, man.
Yeah.
That's all you should do. Do the work, you know.
Yep. And the rest will follow.
Absolutely.
Dude, I appreciate all the time. I wanted to hit you with two last things here. Maybe three. Matt, three. I feel like we got to talk a little Rob Zombie. I mean, you you have the distinction of writing, I think the longest Rob Zombie song ever, "The Man Who Laughs," 9 minutes and 43 seconds. The nice little drum solo in there too. But talk about that tune.
Oh my gosh. That one was a funny one. Um, you know what though? Here's the story. The demo of that was floating around for a minute, maybe about a year before, and that record, Hellbilly 2, was tracked live in the
Oh
studio.
wow.
All the drums, bass, and guitar, and I think some of the vocals too, from what I remember, were live. Um, which is unusual for modern rock records. But that one, the day, the day that we were working, it was a Friday. I remember John Five had a situation and had to leave the studio. And we were about to call it, and I picked up a guitar and I just started, as we were having a conversation, started playing the riff from that song.
Uh,
And somebody said, "What's that?" And so we didn't call it a day. We went and actually put down a sketch of it. And then when John came back in the next week, we played it live. And then what was really cool is that Rob brought in the guy who had scored Devil's Rejects and was scoring Halloween to write a orchestra piece to go over it, who was Tyler Bates, who's now my
ah,
bandmate in
right.
Manson. So, and that's how the first time I met Tyler. So that was a real, in 18 years of playing with that artist, co-writing two songs and that being one of them, to have that experience. And that there's that weird universe thing coming back, right? Like Tyler Bates of all people. So yeah, it was a I feel grateful to have had that experience.
So Tyler was how you got into Manson then.
No,
Oh,
actually, no, no. In fact, we weren't really in touch. So that was Manson was how we reconnected.
ah, gotcha. Dude, appreciate all the time. Last two things I'm gonna hit you with. Two little music debates. One personal and one for the radio station kind of agenda. But I'm curious, man, all this music that we're talking about and anyone that's kind of in this realm, I always like to throw out this little 9 Inch Nails debate I have with my wife. So I need you to help settle a little household debate. We're both everyone's 9 Inch Nails fans. Our debate is over his greatest album, and we come down on opposing sides. My wife picks album number one, Pretty Hate Machine, where I come down on album number two, The Downward Spiral. If you had to pick one out of those two, which one would it be?
Oh, wow. That is a really hard. Neither one of them are my favorite.
Ah, what is your favorite?
The,
Fragile?
the Fragile.
Ah,
So I can be a bit more objective, I think, maybe.
okay.
Just 2 days ago, I was walking down the street and something I can never have came into my head without any cue. And it made me feel the same way that I did when I heard it when I was 14 and that record came out. And I thought, wow, what a fucking great song. So you know what? Just because that just happened, Pretty Hate Machine.
Ah, that it's funny you mentioned that tune because that was the first tune I had ever heard from 9 Inch Nails, and I kept waiting for it to explode, and it never did, and that was which made it so cool.
Right. And talk about being able to sum up a human emotion that every single person has in something as simple as that song. That's magical stuff.
I just felt like that first album all felt like it was made on the same Casio and all kind of sounded the same. Where I thought the second album musically sounded a lot better and certainly a lot heavier, way more guitars in the second record.
I can't disagree with that at all. There definitely was an expansion of Sonics on the second record.
A lot more toys to play with in the 90s versus the 80s, too.
Yeah, but I guess there's something about the lyrics and the arrangements, because I remember like around the time of the Fragile when they were doing Terrible Lie and they were doing some songs of Pretty Hate Machine in the set. And I remember thinking, wow, those still sound fresh and exciting like that. Like, so peeling away the sound of Pretty Hate Machine, in the dated synths and electronics, hearing that stuff live in a modern age, I was like, wow, these sound like new songs. And that's the power of just a good song, even if it's
Yeah.
hacked out on a Casio.
Good points, and can't wait for that show coming up here in
Yeah.
September as well. Last one I got for you, man. This is my buddy and I. We're an old school radio station. We do a feature called Mandatory Metallica every night at 10 p.m., which you're going to be a part of. Having this little Metallica debate going on the other side of the spectrum, but another album versus album, getting down to their thrashier side, 2 versus 3. Ride the Lightning versus Master of Puppets. If you had to choose one out of those two.
Man. Oh, another tough one. For personal reasons, I think I'll probably pick Master of Puppets
Yes.
because and this will show how much of a nerd I really am. I loved that there was like a Lovecraftian influence on the thing that should not be. Like when I read about that, I remember them, there was Call of Cthulhu on Ride the Lightning, but there was something, but I maybe because it was instrumental, it just hit differently. But there was something about how evil the thing that should not be sounded on Master Puppets to me that I
Mhm.
thought, wow, that's a proper like monster rock song. And as I know it's a weird pick off that record too. It's not one that people normally talk about, I think. But that's my weirdo reason why.
Huh. You know, it's interesting. A lot of death metal guys I talk to, death metal artists, pick that same song.
Interesting.
Yeah. I
That's
think,
interesting. Musically too, the breakdown of Master of Puppets is just a beautiful piece of music. Like the level of orchestration and songwriting and arranging what was still kind of kicking around in the can from Ride the Lightning. Like by the time they got to Master Puppets, like it was just a level up.
hmm
And sonically, I think Master Puppets
Way
has
better.
sounds better, but I don't really hold that against it even. Like it's just the thoughtful orchestrations and arrangements of the songs I thought was showed some real growth.
Well, you had mentioned Call of Cthulhu on Ride, but look at Orion on Master.
Exactly. Exactly. Like both brilliant pieces of music, you can tell one was younger than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And normally I'm the guest pick a song, but I think you did with the thing that should not be.
I think so. And when they did it with Michael Kamen and the orchestra and that whole thing, it was even more terrifying. And I loved it. I was like, wow, what a great representation of that song. They did that with a lot of their material. I thought it was very
Yeah.
effective. Yeah. And it shows again, I think they were able to pull that off because the arrangements and the note choices were so thoughtful in the first place that there was
Mhm.
such a brilliant foundation there to build upon. So yeah, it was really cool. Good question. Great debate, actually.
I love that one. I'm like, I gotta hit. I had to hit you with the Metallica, but I was like, I'm curious about the Nine Inch Nails too. So, dude, thank you so much for the time. Great talking to you. Great to finally chat with you. Been a fan for a long time and seen you over the years with all the bands, and can't wait to see you with the latest band, Faith No Gore.
Oh, thanks, man. I can't appreciate you having I can't be more appreciative of you having me on. I really like this was really cool. I listened to you and this is to be able to just talk about music is cool. So
I love it, man. Thanks for humoring me, and hopefully I'll get to say hi to you at the show.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, please do. Please do.
Killer, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Bye bye.